Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm ready to cry.
You know I can't get out of my head.
I know. Listen.
It just doesn't stop.
This was the Jazz Jennings the world first met and fell in love with. A trailblazer, an icon, and a symbol of courage. At just 6 years old, she sat across from Barbara Walters and, with incredible clarity, introduced herself to the world. She wasn't just a child, she was a pioneer, one of the youngest people ever publicly identified as transgender. For millions, she was the beautiful, smiling face of a community that was just looking for understanding and acceptance. Her journey, broadcast on the hit TLC show, I Am Jazz, was supposed to be a story of triumph, a modern fairy tale where the princess finally gets to be her true self. The world watched her grow up, navigate high school, find her voice as an activist, and stand as a beacon of hope, but behind the cameras and the smiling interviews, a different and much harder story was unfolding, one that would catch many who followed her by surprise. Once the cameras stopped rolling, the immense pressure of being a global role model, combined with some unexpected personal struggles, led to a series of health crises and mental health battles. The celebrated journey took a dark turn into a period of pain and self-doubt that almost no one saw coming. This is the story of what was really happening to Jazz Jennings, a story far more complicated than what we saw on TV. To really understand the challenges Jazz faced, you have to understand just how high she soared. Her story didn't start with a TV show, but with the simple, unshakable feeling of a child who knew who she was. Born in 2000, Jazz was assigned male at birth, but from the moment she could talk, she insisted she was a girl. Her parents, Greg and Jeanette, remember her asking when a fairy would come and change her body to match her mind. This wasn't a phase, it was who she was. In a time when the word transgender was barely in the mainstream vocabulary, her family made a brave choice. They listened. They chose love and affirmation. By age 5, with their full support, Jazz was living as the girl she always knew herself to be. That decision kicked off a public journey unlike any other. In 2007, the world met Jazz through her interview with Barbara Walters on 2020. It was a huge moment. Here was this 6-year-old kid, so articulate and bright, explaining her identity with a purity that seemed to disarm the whole country. Christine Connolly, a board member for a prominent LGBTQ youth alliance, noted just how big of a deal it was, saying, she was the first young person who picked up the national spotlight, and was able to articulate her perspective, with such innocence. Almost overnight, Jazz became more than a girl from Florida, she became a symbol. Her family, using the last name Jennings to protect their privacy, used this new platform for good. They co-founded the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation to help other transgender kids and their families. Jazz herself, even as a little kid, embraced her role. She co-wrote a children's book, I Am Jazz, which became both a vital resource and, ironically, one of the most banned books in the country, a sign of the cultural battles she was at the center of. She started a YouTube channel, speaking directly to young people who saw themselves in her. She fought for the right to play on the girls' soccer team, a fight that was about more than sports. It was about her right to exist as any other girl. Then, in 2015, the show that made her a household name premiered, TLC's I Am Jazz. For the first time, cameras followed the daily life of a transgender teenager. The show was a phenomenon. It wasn't just about gender, it was about family, dating, and all the universal parts of growing up. Viewers saw her navigate crushes and high school, all while leaning on her incredibly supportive family, her parents and her siblings, Ari, Griffin, and Sander. Their unconditional love became a model for how to support a trans child. The show tried to strike a balance. It wanted to normalize Jazz's life, showing she was a normal girl, who just happened to be trans. But it also showed the unique challenges, like her anxiety about her body and the pain of being rejected by a boy because she was transgender. Through it all, Jazz seemed incredibly poised. She was heading toward her final goal, gender confirmation surgery. It was meant to be the final piece of the puzzle, the moment her body would finally align with her true self. The world was cheering her on, completely unaware that this long-awaited victory was about to trigger her darkest chapter. The gender confirmation surgery was supposed to be the light at the end of the tunnel. It represented a sense of wholeness that Jazz had been waiting for her entire life. As documented on I Am Jazz, the surgery was scheduled for 2018, and everyone was preparing for a moment of rebirth. But the road there was filled with unexpected and difficult hurdles. The first challenge came when doctors told her she needed to lose a significant amount of weight to make the surgery safer. This medical requirement accidentally put a spotlight on a private struggle that had been brewing for years. Her complicated relationship with food. The pressure to lose weight kicked off a tough cycle. She managed to meet the requirement, and the surgery went ahead. At first, the news was great. But that relief didn't last long. Jazz suffered a major complication that required more urgent procedures. This wasn't a small setback, it was a serious medical crisis that threw her recovery into chaos and left her and her family terrified. The moment that was supposed to bring peace brought a whole new kind of trauma. The physical trauma of the surgical complications soon spiraled into a major mental health crisis. Think about it, she was a teenager navigating adolescence with the added weight of being a global spokesperson for a marginalized community. Every decision and every personal struggle was broadcast to millions. The online hate she received was relentless. While she put on a brave face, inside, she was breaking down. The aftermath of the surgery, combined with the crushing weight of public expectations, sent her into a dark place. This mental anguish found a destructive outlet in what she has described as a food addiction, a full-blown binge-eating disorder. Food became a source of comfort, a way to numb the emotional pain. I love food so much, she confessed on the show. It makes me feel comfortable and safe and happy. The consequences were impossible to hide. In less than 2 years, Jazz gained nearly 100 pounds. This physical transformation was a direct reflection of her internal suffering. Having all this extra weight, I can't do so many things with my body that I used to be able to do, she later shared. The weight gain created a feedback loop of shame and depression. The situation became so serious that it even strained her relationship with her family, who had always been her biggest supporters. In a painful moment of honesty, Jazz admitted, I do experience fat shaming from my family. It makes me feel really humiliated. Her mother, Jeanette, was torn between worrying about her daughter's health and the fear of being too judgmental, a heartbreaking dilemma that played out on camera. It all came to a head with another huge life event, her acceptance to Harvard University. This should have been a moment of pure celebration. But instead of packing her bags for college, Jazz had to make a difficult and public decision to defer her admission. In an Instagram post, she explained that she needed time to refocus and recenter. Behind that statement was the reality that her mental health was too fragile for her to go. She described herself as being trapped and her spirit shattered. The dream of Harvard was on hold. The golden child, the icon of resilience, was lost. Deferring from Harvard wasn't just a scheduling change, it was a public signal of just how much she was struggling. The girl who had handled childhood fame with such grace was now sidelined by her own internal battles. The years that followed were a period of struggle, mostly away from the public eye except for what was shown on I Am Jazz. The show, which once documented her rise, now chronicled her painful struggles and her family's desperate attempts to help her. The main focus of the later seasons was her binge-eating disorder. Viewers saw the difficult reality of her compulsive eating. They saw her weigh-ins, with the number on the scale climbing to 234 pounds, a moment she called devastating. They saw tense conversations with her family, who were grappling with how to handle addiction and mental illness. The public reaction was split. Many offered support, but others used her struggles as ammunition. The online hate intensified, with people mocking her weight and criticizing her family. Behind the scenes, a real fight for her life was happening. This wasn't just about diet and exercise. it was about addressing the root causes of her pain, the years of pressure and the trauma from her surgery. It was a slow and difficult process. She had to learn how to care for herself again. As she later reflected, "I finally care about myself after years of neglecting my health." Her story makes you wonder, what is the true cost of growing up in the spotlight? Jazz was thrust into the public eye at age 6. Is a breakdown almost inevitable under that kind of pressure? And what about the show itself? I Am Jazz brought incredible visibility, but it also turned a family's private pain into public entertainment. Did the cameras make it all harder? In a 2024 interview, Jazz admitted she considered being a Harvard influencer, but decided she needed to focus on herself, stating, "I can't always take care of the world or put myself out there as much." Slowly but surely, a shift began. The hard work she was doing started to pay off. She began sharing her progress on her own terms, through social media. She posted videos of herself working out, running with her dad, and playing tennis. In January 2024, she announced she had lost 70 pounds. She wrote, "Feeling happier and healthier than I've been in years." By August 2024, she made another incredible announcement. She had lost nearly 100 pounds, the same amount she had gained. The physical transformation came with a mental one. In 2022, she finally enrolled at Harvard, 2 years after she was supposed to. She studied art, film, and visual studies and even joined a musical theater group and the club lacrosse team. For maybe the first time, she was getting the chance to just be a young adult. She found a community and thrived in an environment where she could just be herself. The tragic aftermath was finally giving way to a hard-won peace. Jazz's story is a powerful reminder of the hidden struggles that can lie behind public success. So many people battle their own demons in silence. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or an eating disorder, please know that there is help available. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Jazz Jennings' story isn't the simple fairy tale we were all sold. It's a complex, sometimes brutal, and deeply human story of a young woman who was asked to carry an impossible weight. She was a child icon and a teenage activist who gave up her privacy to educate the world. The tragic turn in her journey, the surgical complications, the depression, and the 100-pound weight gain, wasn't a personal failure. It was the consequence of a life lived under extraordinary pressure. Her story shocked people because it broke the illusion of the perfect icon. It revealed the dark reality that can hide behind the brightest spotlights. It makes us ask uncomfortable questions about the price of fame and the ethics of reality TV, but the story doesn't end in tragedy. The final act of Jazz's journey, so far, is one of incredible resilience. The fact that she fought her way back from such a dark place, losing the weight, making it to Harvard, and finding happiness on her own terms, is perhaps the most powerful part of her story. It's a testament to the strength that was forged in the fire. She's no longer just the golden child of the trans movement. She's something much more real and powerful, a survivor. Her journey, with all its tragic twists, is a profound and cautionary tale. It's a reminder that behind every icon is a human being, and that the most inspiring stories aren't the ones without struggle, but the ones where people find the courage to heal, reclaim their lives, and rise.